30 years ago, I was introduced to something called axiology, which is the science of human values. It's a three-dimensional model. Fascinating stuff. What makes it more fascinating is the guy who was the pioneer was a judge and a magistrate in the 1930s Germany. And he was putting Hitler's henchmen in jail. And they put a bounty on his head, and he had to leave Germany. And he spent the rest of his life trying to understand how could a country of good people do what they did? How could families turn on families, friends turn on friends? And he boiled it down to one question, which was fascinating. He said, why does a killer in war get a medal when a killer in peace gets the electric chair? He spent his whole life trying to understand the answer to the question. This is his autobiography. If I may, I'm going to read you a paragraph or two, because this thing was written in the late 60s before he died. What I'm going to read to you, you would think it was written last week. Wow. Okay. He says, my answer to that question is because killing in war is what he calls a systemic level of value. I'll explain that more in a second. It is part of the war system. It is, quote, killing, not really killing. In war, you never kill a man. You eliminate enemy forces. You liquidate resistance. You take the objective. You put the enemy out of action. You notice the wordplay. You're a part of an abstract game. In war, the one who kills may not see or know what he's doing or know who he's killing. Under his uniform, he's just a nice man like you or me who executes an order that results in death for other nice men like you or me, or our children, or our grandchildren. He's just part of the system, just doing his duty, just transporting the fire to the people. A killer in peace, however, is not part of the system. He's not an arm of the state. He acts on his own as an individual, and as such, he is subject to the moral and legal law which he has violated. So for him, the electric chair. So why do we as human beings tolerate, accept, yes, and applaud the killing of millions of men, women, and children when it is done systemically, and draw back in horror and moral outrage at the killing of one person when it is done outside the system? This is what all of us must find out and understand as quickly as we can. We must measure modern war against the yardstick of intrinsic human value. We must sensitize ourselves to the causes of war, recognize the motions and the signs that point away from peace. We must stop the war before it stops us. The situation is no longer a matter of politics or economics or ideology. It's a spiritual matter of life and death.